But let's take a look at what's going on in the U.S. We're just off the coast of the Carolinas and the Northeast. A pretty powerful cyclone here. This is not a tropical system, but a couple of days ago there was some thought that maybe there would be tropical development off the East Coast, at least in some part. But we're not really seeing that right now. We're seeing a pretty strong system that kind of resembles a nor'easter, but this is one that actually has been relying on the existence of wind shear. Unlike a tropical cyclone that would get crushed by it, this one needed it to grow. And we've got a lot of wind shear, so maybe there's some more room to grow for this thing, this low pressure system, as it generally heads on out to sea fairly quickly. I think weather along the East Coast will be improving certainly all afternoon long. Right now, guys, the Gulf of Mexico looks good. So does the Caribbean. There's some signs that maybe lower pressures will begin to form in about a week down that way with some enhanced stormy conditions. I'll have more on that at next 50 past the hour. Stay tuned. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Doc. And of course, we're not only watching the tropics this time of year, we're watching some football.
Yeah, are you ready for it?
Always.
We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's going to be against the Indianapolis Colts today. But what's the weather look like?
Great tailgate weather there. We've got sunshine, light winds, 83 degrees. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about this one.
Yeah, a good game today there. Here's the deal, though. If you are looking to go to this KC Chiefs game against the Miami Dolphins, you know how Miami Gardens is. You are going to see some rain during the game. It's just going to happen, and today's even extra wet, so good chance of that.
Yeah, and you know what? Weather Geeks is coming up next. A very interesting topic, the perception of weather warnings.
Yeah, this is a really important one, but we're going to be back right after it at 30 past the hour.
So join us then.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms, high 86. Chance of rain, 80%. Tonight, partly cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms, low 75. Chance of rain, 30%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome to Weather Geeks. I'm Dr. Marshall Shepard. Today's show is all about perceptions of weather warnings. How does the message get out, and do people understand what they mean? How do we get their attention? I've asked WCNC TV meteorologist Brad Panovich to be my guest today. Brad is better known to many of you in the weather community as Weather Brad on Twitter. Thanks for being with us today, and let's just dive right in. Brad, thank you for joining me here today on Weather Geeks.
Thanks for having me, Marshall. Love to be here.
Yeah. You know, as a TV meteorologist in a local market, I know you have challenges in getting the message out. What are some of the obstacles that can get in the way in terms of getting messages out, particularly when we have severe weather or you have weather bearing down that you're trying to get a message out to the public?
Well, you know, the biggest obstacle is kind of a unique obstacle in TV is we really require the viewer to actually be watching TV to get the message out. So if you have, let's say, a tornado warning or a pressing warning that needs, 30, 40 minutes heads up, I really need people to be watching TV. And some of the most frustrating aspects of being on TV is when we get warnings at inconvenient times of the day when people aren't watching TV, the middle of a weekend afternoon or in the middle of the night. So we think we have this huge medium on TV, and we really do, but it requires some user interface, which means the user has to be tuned in. So it can be rather frustrating when you have good information, but the viewers aren't there for them to receive it.
Well, what about the situation, and I hear this all the time as a meteorologist, and I know you do too, man, the game is on, or my soaps are on, I can't believe they're cutting in. What are your thoughts on this complaint that we often hear about cutting in, and we know that at times that is of value to the public and probably saves lives?
Yeah, it's becoming more difficult to make that decision because more and more the public understands that there's multiple ways to get the information out. So they see you cutting into their entertainment program for a warning in a county that may not impact 90% of your audience as kind of an intrusion. And the thing we always remember as at least over-the-air broadcasters is that we kind of have a duty to the public. We have that FCC license to kind of do the public good. And so we oftentimes have to weigh, you know, is this a threat to life, limb, or property? And anytime it is, we will cut in and we will stay on the air until, as a meteorologist, I think that threat has passed. But I'll be honest with you, it has become harder in the last couple of years because people feel like if you have that information, I can go to the internet, I can go to your app. So we've made some judgment calls in the last couple of years we probably wouldn't have done maybe 5 or 6 years ago because we feel like we can cut in short amount of time and tell people, hey, we're going to push this full stream on our app or on our website so that we can hit the core audience. Because as a broadcast meteorologist, we have a huge viewing area. I cover 22 counties in North and South Carolina, and sometimes these tornado warning polygons may only impact part of one of those counties.
Yeah, it really is a tough call out there, but I think as meteorologists, we feel that it's best to err on the side of safety if we're saving lives and if we're inconveniencing some. You know, I know that they're DVR and many of these shows are on the web now, but you know, some people still aren't trying to hear that, and I certainly understand that. Have there been cases in your experience where the weather event was such that you just couldn't get people to respond the way you thought? Was there a particular weather event that came to mind that you just particularly comes to mind that was a problem for you in getting the message out?
Well, I happened to work Hurricane Katrina, and this is a long time ago, but that was one of the first events where we could see it as a meteorologist and within the weather community, the coming danger to the city of New Orleans, and you couldn't get that information out. And most recently in my market, I had an opportunity to do a tornado warning in Rock Hill, South Carolina back in 2011, and that was one of the moments which really stuck with me because I remember on the air doing live tornado coverage, calling out the exact street, and then come to find out 2 hours later there's 3 fatalities on that street. And I took that kind of personal to heart, like, you know, what could I have done better to get that information out? So I went down the next morning and I had to talk to the people and see the damage firsthand, and I talked to some of the survivors, and a lot of them said this happened at 5 o'clock in the evening, Brad. We were eating dinner, we weren't watching TV.
Right.
And so I realized that this was a situation where I couldn't reach the people in an instance where they were eating dinner, didn't have the TV on. And that's really a constant frustration from the broadcast aspect, but that's where the social media aspect has kind of picked up the slack a little bit for me.
Yeah, no, social media is great and can be a useful tool, but as we also know, the threat of social meteorologists, as we like to say out there, media with an M-E-D-I-A, is conveying some information that's questionable. But I want to get to the National Weather Service. Are there things that the National Weather Service can be doing better to help you guys convey the message better to the public?
I think there is, but I think when it comes to the communication part of weather information, we actually should be leading more. And I actually think in some ways the Weather Service has taken huge steps in the social science aspect of this. I mean, I've said this for the last couple of years. We have come such a long way in forecasting severe weather that our ability to warn and forecast warnings far exceeds our ability to communicate those warnings. And I think as a broadcaster, our primary goal has got to be to communicate this information better. And I see the Weather Service doing post-assessments of all of these tornado outbreaks and hurricane landfalls, and they're doing the social science and learning what kind of verbiage, what kind of communication works best with the public. So in some ways, here we were the leading voice, at least to the public as a broadcaster, that we're starting to learn a lot from the Weather Service because they're starting to figure out that we need to use certain terms, certain colors, certain ways that we present information that lets the public know that this is a serious situation. At the end of the day, you know, a great forecast is only good if people take that information and use it correctly.
Yeah, we've got about 30 seconds, Brad, but I want to commend you on the nice blog that you wrote. There's not a meteorologist on the planet that hasn't heard this statement. Must be nice to be in a field where you can be wrong half the time and still get paid. What motivated that blog? Real quickly, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm just curious about what motivated that.
Well, I mean, I take accuracy very seriously. I mean, when I blow a forecast by 2 degrees, nobody may notice, but I notice it. And I just feel like as meteorologists, we get it right more often than not.
Yeah.
And I think we need the same kind of scrutiny applied to all fields. So I just wrote that based on some frustrations, but also on the fact that we understand we don't get it right all the time, but we try to improve. And when we do get it right, sometimes it's nice to get a little credit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that's a key thing that we battle with here as meteorologists. But I want to thank you for that lead-in, because as we come back from the break, we actually do have Dr. Laura Myers in the studio, and she's really been leading some of the efforts at thinking about some of the issues that you brought up as a broadcaster, as a TV meteorologist, in terms of thinking about social sciences, perceptions, and communication. So looking forward to talking more about that with Dr. Myers going forward, and we'll have you back later on in the show as well. Thanks for joining us.
I'm MARY, and I have COPD.
I'm JEFF, and I have COPD.
I'm LISA, and I have COPD. But I don't want my breathing problems to get in the way of hosting my book club. That's why I asked my doctor about BREO.
Once daily, Brio Ellipta helps increase airflow from the lungs for a full 24 hours. And Brio helps reduce symptom flare-ups that last several days and require oral steroids, antibiotics, or hospital stay. Brio is not for asthma. Brio contains a type of medicine that increases risk of death in people with asthma. It is not known if this risk is increased in COPD. Brio won't replace rescue inhalers for sudden COPD symptoms and should not be used more than once a day. Brio may increase your risk of pneumonia, thrush, osteoporosis, and some eye problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking Brio.
Ask your doctor about BREO for COPD.
First prescription free at mybrio.com.
Monday on America's Morning Headquarters, a bucket list destination is on the verge of vanishing. Which one of our national parks is literally evaporating? And we're looking forward to fall, what you can expect this season in your part of the country. It's Monday, 7 a.m., the biggest weather hour anywhere. America's Morning Headquarters, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, tonight, partly cloudy with a slight chance of thunderstorms. Low, 75. Chance of rain, 30%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
See why the buzz on Fat Guys in the Woods, the Weather Channel's hit survival series, is getting bigger and bigger. Victory! A new episode tonight at 10 on the Weather Channel.
Andrew, Rita, Sandy. Meet Chris, Jackie, Joe. Minor damage or major disaster. When you need us most, we're there. State Farm. We're a force of nature, too.
California is known for its grapes, and so is my family. Over 3 generations have taught us about growing the best tasting fruit. Our grapes ripen on the vine so that the flavors can fully develop, and only the most experienced hands harvest them to bring quality fruit to your table. That's why we work with Walmart. Together, we guarantee you only get the freshest grapes available, backed by their 100% money-back guarantee.
Picked by farmers, guaranteed by us.
When we say the all-new Chrysler 200 is all new, we mean it. We used the latest tools and built a new state-of-the-art manufacturing plant. We gave it new smart technology We challenge conventional thinking with a more intuitive design. And we set new expectations of what an American sedan can be. The all-new Chrysler 200, America's import.
And welcome back to Weather Geeks, and we are here discussing the perception of weather warnings. I'm joined by Dr. Laura Myers, who's the Deputy Director and Research Scientist at the Center for Advanced Public Safety at the University of Alabama. And Dr. Myers, it's really a pleasure to have you here. I know you're one of the foremost experts in how we look at weather warnings from the perspective of social sciences. So how do we get the public to pay attention?
Well, there's certain things that capture the public's attention. They're wanting to hear the right words, the right emphasis, the right severity to get their attention. And so it's about the wording, it's about how the TV meteorologist portrays the information, it's about the credibility of the information. That's what captures.
Now, you heard Brad Panovich earlier talk about the fact that things like colors matter, or numbers and schemes. In meteorology, we have a lot of scales, the Saffir-Simpson scale, the Fujita scale. We have different colors. Do different colors convey different things to the public?
They do, and there are certain colors that don't have as much of serious a meaning as other colors do.
Is that right?
Red, of course, is the most serious. So when we use anything other than red, it's less serious, and for different publics, different colors mean different things.
Right. So, for example, if we're showing a flash flood, and oftentimes we associate flash floods with green, you're suggesting that that may not be the optimal color scheme?
That's right, and the research that we've done indicates that. The green just doesn't convey it.
Okay, so what are some of the other things that get in the way of messaging? We've seen instances like El Reno, Moore, Sandy, where the forecast was actually pretty good.
Right.
But some of the decisions made, that's where the problems come in, and so I think that's where social science offers value. So what are some of the things that get in the way in terms of the public consuming the message?
Well, it has a lot to do with how they get the message and, you know, what modalities they're using. Is it television? Is it the NOAA weather radio? Is it social media? And so how we convey that information across those modalities, they may not be turned into television. It may be social media. So how do we get it across social media so that we reach a broader population?
So if you were to design the optimal warning system or convey, I mean, what would you design based on research that you have been doing?
Well, I'd want to make sure that we were going through every modality that we could, because different publics get it in different ways. And then I'd want to make sure that we're conveying the seriousness in terms of the terminology that we use.
Right. So I know you've been doing work with various meteorologists, the National Weather Service, colleagues like James Spann over in Birmingham, and with the Weather Brings guys. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've been doing with those two.
We've been doing a lot of survey research after severe weather events to find out how the public received the weather warnings. And it's been done to find out, did it work right? Did they get the messaging? And so what we find out is that for the most part, everything's working fine. Most people do get the message, but there are those populations that don't. There's vulnerable populations that don't get it for certain reasons, or they get it and they don't have any actions that they can take. There are people who are doing other things at the time of the event and they don't get the information. So we're trying to find different ways of getting that information across.
10 words or less. Is there enough funding? We hear social media as a real buzzword right now, social sciences, I should say, in weather. But are we putting our money where our mouth is? Are you being supported with this work?
Well, there could be a lot more funding for it. And I know the National Weather Service and NOAA are behind that, and they want to make sure that that's happening. And I've seen it happen more recently than in the past.
Actually. So ahead on Weather Geeks, we'll bring Weather Brad back into the conversation, and we're going to geek out on some extraordinary measures forecasters have taken to get the word out. Next on Weather Geeks. But first, our Geek of the Week, Mr. Todd Langley, is the principal of Alcova Elementary School in Dacula, Georgia. He is the co-founder of the Weather Science Chat Series, a partnership with the University of Georgia, where students are exposed to real meteorologists from around the country. He also helps students explore the wonders of science and understand science-related job opportunities. He says his favorite weather moment is the blizzard of 1978.
This is where I met your grandpa. Right under this tree.
Some things are worth holding on to.
They're hugging the tree.
That's why we got a Subaru.
Wasn't that true?
Introducing the all-new Subaru Outback. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Okay, Patrick, one more stop. Let's go base, shark, blitz. Base, shark, blitz.
When the game's on the line.
Okay, this is for the game.
The NFL trusts Duracell Quantum to power their game day communication.
Abort, he's keeping it.
Duracell Quantum lasts up to 35% longer than the competition.
What if there was a credit card where the reward was that new car smell and the freedom of the open road? A card that gave you that I'm 16 and just got my first car feeling. Presenting the Buy Power card from Capital One. Redeem earnings toward part or even all of a new Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, or Cadillac with no limits. So every time you use it, you're not just shopping for goods. You're shopping for something great. Learn more at buypowercard.com.
Take a deep breath in and exhale. And a gentle wave-like motion. Liberate your spine. And reach, toes blossoming.
Not that great at yoga.
Yeah, but when I slipped a disc, he paid my claim in just 4 days.
4 days?
Yep.
Find out how fast Aflac can pay you at Aflac.com.
You're going to want to watch 7 a.m. on AMHQ.
This is a big weather morning.
The biggest weather hour anywhere. What you watch in the morning matters.
Is your weather geeky this morning?
Make AMH...
Nobody's born smart. There was a time when Einstein couldn't count to 10, and Shakespeare had to learn his ABCs just like the rest of us. You stumble, slip, crawl, fall, and fail. But failing is just another word for growing. And you keep going, one foot in front of the other, one idea on top of the next, until you get it. This is learning. You only have to know one thing. You can learn anything.
What do I love most about HSN? Do I have to pick just one? If I had to choose, without a doubt, FlexPay. Hands down.
I absolutely love FlexPay. You actually get the item in your home, then you make monthly payments.
With no interest or fees. I used it for a new mattress for the guest bedroom.
A new TV for the hubby for his birthday.
A new piece of jewelry for mommy. It gives me the flexibility to buy what we need now without the stress of paying it all at once. And no interest. Beat that layaway.
Find out. There's no obligation, and you can receive a decision in minutes. Visit us online at ondeck.com today.
7 a.m. on AMHQ.
Let's get you in front of today's weather.
The biggest weather hour anywhere.
What a gorgeous start.
Weekday mornings on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms likely. High 87. Chance of rain 80%. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers or thunderstorms, mainly during the evening. Low 75. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Welcome back to Weather Geeks. It's time to geek out on some extraordinary measures that a few forecasters have taken to get the word out. I'm joined again by Dr. Laura Myers and meteorologist Brad Panovich. And one of the examples that really comes to mind here, Dr. Myers and Brad, is what the meteorologist in charge in Mount Holly, New Jersey did during Superstorm Sandy. It was really amazing, and you can see this on the screen. He issued a personal plea that probably saved lives. What are some of your thoughts on that? This is kind of a free-for-all. Brad, what are you thinking about? Was this necessary?
I think those are great because sometimes, we see that people, they hear the warnings over and over again. Sometimes they have kind of warning fatigue. And sometimes when you see a personal plea like that from somebody that is in a position of power, it may spur someone to take action. I know personally, I've had situations on the air where I may mention something like, hey, honey, I'll talk to my wife, like, hey, get the kids, go in the basement. And some viewers will see that and say, whoa, Brad's warning his own family. This is a serious situation. So sometimes that is necessary to kind of kick those people just a little bit farther than what they normally would need.
Yeah, I mean, that out-of-the-box thinking, many people credit it with saving lives. Dr. Myers, what are your thoughts on this type of approach?
It's really critical because that's what they do when they make that decision to do something different, something out of the ordinary. They're trying to capture that attention. And I've been really impressed with the meteorologists, the TV meteorologists who've made the choices to do that because it really has made a difference.
And here's another example, Brad, from Hurricane Charlie. The National Weather Service in Melbourne, Florida, issued a series of tornado warnings to warn the public about destructive winds, although there weren't necessarily tornadoes at that time. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we've seen this a couple times with derecho or straight line wind events as well, where sometimes you see what technically isn't a tornado warning, but people take tornado warnings more seriously and they're going to seek certain type of shelter. And in that situation, I think that was great for the emergency managers who saw that information and then they jumped to action.
Yeah, in fact, there are some local emergency managers even said the outside of the box thinking was a stroke of genius. Some have said it was incredibly helpful. So clearly we see that you don't always have to necessarily follow the rules in order to get warning out, and we must be willing, Dr. Myers, to kind of break out of that at times, right?
Really, you have to be willing to do that. And I actually did the service assessment after the 2012 derecho, and when we talked to the public, they said that did make a difference. There was a tornado warning issued, and they said that's what made them take the appropriate action. Other people who didn't get the tornado warning said it didn't make any difference.
Yeah, and you've heard derecho mentioned a couple of times. By the way, it's always been around. It was not created 2 years ago. But let's get to Hail No. Let's do some myth busting. Where do you think people get their weather information from? You might think it's the internet or via social media, but recent studies have suggested that in Superstorm Sandy, most of the people were still getting their information from television. I'm sure people like Brad Panovich and the Weather Channel are happy to hear that. Superstorm Sandy, they were going to TV, folks. Here you see some of the data there. But what do you think's happening? We've had severe weather just this week here in the United States. Is that where people are getting their data from in ordinary cases or in severe weather cases? What are some of your thoughts? Brad, I'll go to you on this one.
I think they are. I think social media, internet apps, they all end up pushing people back to TV. It's comfortable. It's something people know well, and it's the visual aspect. You may get a text message or a tweet that says tornado warning. A lot of people want to see it. They want to see with their own eyes, and the only way you can really do that, except for maybe going outside and looking at it, is to turn the TV on. And that's why more and more as a TV station, we find it important to have pictures and video because it helps convey that information better than even our radar can.
Well, I want to thank Brad for joining us, and also Dr. Laura Myers from University of Alabama. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. You can find us on Twitter at WXGeeks, TWC. We've also got a Facebook page where you'll find clips from today's show and from some of our past shows as well. We will see you right here next week on Weather Geeks.
Bridgestone's new Drive Guard tires are engineered to take a puncture and go up to 50 miles.
We can drive 50 miles on a flat, and you have an app that makes nails pop up?
Yep.
We could rule the world. But I've got carpool at 3, though, so
that time
we could, mess with the world.
Under the roof of a home or business, damage can happen. When it does, turn to the specialists who put help in the palm of your hand. The Ready app and emergency response plans from 1-800-SERVPRO. Like it never even happened.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more in car insurance.
Everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that former pro football player Ickey Woods will celebrate almost anything?
Number 44. Woo! 44, that's me!
Get some cold cuts, get some cold cuts, get some cold cuts.
Woo! Give me some!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
44, ladies, that's me! Gonna get some cold cuts today.
You make a great team. It's been that way since the day you met. But your erectile dysfunction, it could be a question of blood flow. Cialis Tadalafil for daily use helps you be ready anytime the moment's right. You can be more confident in your ability to be ready. And the same Cialis is the only daily ED tablet approved to treat ED and symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently or urgently. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medications and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sexual activity. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain, as this may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess with Cialis. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or if you have any allergic reactions such as rash, hives, swelling of the lips, tongue, or throat, or difficulty breathing or swallowing, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use and a 30-tablet free trial.
Am I missing a deadline? Will I get there in time? Am I going too fast? Did I close the garage door? Stay in your lane. I don't think I sent that email. I should make a reservation. I thought it was clear. Okay, break. I didn't see that coming.
Its instinct to protect leaves you free to drive. Lease the Infiniti Q50 for $339 a month. Visit your local Infiniti retailer.
There's a saying in our family, you can do anything if you keep a good head on your shoulders. That's why we use Head & Shoulders shampoo and conditioners. It keeps us 100% flake-free. So I just have gorgeous hair. Head & Shoulders, the world's #1 dandruff shampoo.
Monday on America's Morning Headquarters, a bucket list destination is on the verge of vanishing. Which one of our national parks is literally evaporating? And we're looking forward to fall, what you can expect this season in your part of the country. It's Monday, 7 a.m., the biggest weather hour anywhere. America's Morning Headquarters, only on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 84 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Today, thunderstorms likely. High 87. Chance of rain 80%. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies with scattered showers or thunderstorms, mainly during the evening. Low 75. Here's our 7-day outlook.
For their biggest season yet. An all-new season of Prospectors, coming in December on the Weather Channel.
Oh my God, they're crazy. Oh my God. Randy chasing friggin' tornadoes.
You hear laughing, but the two of us are standing in the studio like with our heads in our hands.
Yeah, this is something that I don't know why we have to tell people this, but this is something you should never do. Run into a water spout.
Yeah, they are tornadoes. They are the same process, or even if it's a slightly different process that starts them off, which Kate is going to talk about, they wind up having the same winds. They are dangerous. They can do damage. They can flip boats or even damage buildings. So obviously a person inside one of those, not a good idea.
Should be a no-brainer, but we're going to talk about why they're so dangerous coming up in a minute. But first, we want to welcome you back to Weather Center Live. We hope you enjoyed Weather Geeks. I'm Kate Parker.
And I'm Mark Elliott. And you know what? As you watch Weather Center Live through the rest of the next hour and a half, we want you to send us pictures of what your weekend looks like. Using social media, you can use the hashtag #YourWeekend, all one word, and then we get to see it. And you know, Howard Sappington works with us.
Yes,
and
he does.
Look at that photo.
This is incredible. Talk about a nearly perfectly symmetric spider web going on there. Incredible. Just one little blip in it, but otherwise otherwise, it is a beautiful, gorgeous day in Atlanta. The humidity's down. If you were outside this morning, it actually felt kind of cool outside, Mark.
Hopefully that blip was lunch for the spider.
Hopefully so. He looks hungry.
Exactly. You know, getting away from the nice weather, we have to go to the southern plains, where Texas has been seeing days of heavy rain. In fact, in West Texas, there was a 15-mile dam that broke near the town of Pecos last night. Remnants of Odile caused the Pecos River to swell, and there is a chance of even more heavy rain both tonight and tomorrow, which would only make matters worse. So joining us now on the phone to talk more about the flooding is Mayor Vanetta Seals of Pecos, Texas. And Mayor, thanks so much for joining us. How are conditions there today? What are you still seeing across the area?
Well, right now we are anticipating some more flooding from the Pecos River. There's a lot of rain coming in from